What's up, everybody? This is Stephen Smith here on the Outer Banks. It is January 30th, 2024, and I want to start something called This Week on the Internet, where I pick out maybe a couple, two, three, four tweets or news articles or something that I thought was interesting and share my opinions on things. And maybe you'll get a little bit of value out of this, but let's go. Let's kick things off. So let me share my browser here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this graph. This is from Lance Lambert on X.com. He is with Resi Club, and he's a real estate reporter. He's got some great information. He's a great follow on X if you want to kind of keep tabs on the real estate market. But this is the Case-Shiller National Home Price Index, not seasonally adjusted. So this is just the numbers, the actual prices. And this is month over month home price change. So as you can see, there's a lot of blue on here, and blue is home prices appreciated. Red is home prices went down. And you'll see, a couple of interesting things to me were, if you look at the late 70s, early 80s, when mortgage rates were rising and home prices were rising, people were still active. I hear a lot of things now about how homes are unaffordable. But going back to the late 70s, early 80s, I've seen some things that say maybe they had a little bit worse than we do, and they were still buying houses and they were still making it work. And wages grew after that and kind of caught up with inflation, and things balanced out. But that late 70s, early 80s, with all of that blue, was interesting to me. I mean, you don't see any red anywhere until you get to 1990. So that was a takeaway. The second takeaway was, man, it got so rough in 2008 and 2009, month over month values going down 1.9, 2.3, 2.09. And then things were so crazy during 2021 and 2022, because you can see all those bold blue numbers there. 2.1, 2.3, 2.3, 2.2. That's just month over month over month. Home prices just escalating. But what I really want to talk about on this chart is 2023. If you look at 2023, there's a little bit of red for some price softening at the start of the year, and then there's solid blue, during the summer times, late spring and summer. And then in November, there's minus 0.2%, and the numbers kind of dwindle down as the year goes on. This is a normal seasonality. This is what we've kind of been missing for years now in the housing market. If you look at the time period from 2014 to 2019, it looks very similar to this. If you look at the time period from 1991 to 1997, it looks very similar to this. So this is hopefully this trend continues and holds up, because I really would like to see a normal real estate market. Kids in school, families don't want to take them out in the middle of the school year. They'll wait until the spring or summer, and then they'll make their move into another house. It's better weather to go out, look at houses, do a little house hunting. It's a much more normal market, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who hopes that one day we get back to a more normal market than what we've had. Okay. Second on the list is this tab for the Phi couple on X. And this is what they had to say. Dallas banned Airbnb around the city. New York City put a huge restriction on it. Colorado might increase property taxes. They're not buying Airbnb rentals anytime soon, and I don't blame them. In North Carolina, it's kind of unique because we have a law on the books called the North Carolina Vacation Rental Act that kind of codified and defined what a vacation rental is for our state. And we had a lot of people here on the Outer Banks, Stuart Couch, Tim Cafferty, that worked on ensuring that short-term rentals would be somewhat protected and at least well defined within our legal code. So we kind of have the luxury here in the Outer Banks. Visitors Bureau and Tourism Board and all that stuff, they really know that uh, tourism is what drives our economy, and any restrictions um, on homeowners that invest, um, people that want to come here and have a place to stay, the more places that people can stay, the better, because it generates more tourism revenue. So I don't, some areas are having these problems and some areas are not. I would imagine that there's a lot of coastal areas where even your HOAs might restrict um, what you can do with your property as far as short-term rentals. And there are a lot of investors who, as soon as those new rules come down or those new covenants come down, they're listing it for sale and they're out. And I don't think people realize what an impact that has on property values. If you've got 100 Airbnb units and your neighborhood says, all right, well, no more Airbnbs. The investors are going to say, well, I don't want to do just a long-term rental. I'm going to sell this. So they'll list it for sale. And then their investor friend next door will list it for sale. And then suddenly you've got all these homes for sale in one neighborhood. Um, and supply and demand, you have that much supply, it's going to reduce demand, or people are going to pitch you against each other and send in lower offers. And before you know it, property values in your neighborhood have gone down because you wanted to get rid of short-term rentals. Um, for some areas, yeah, I totally get it, but I feel like maybe it's a short-sighted thing where you think about a revolving door of different people staying at a house every week, and you don't really know your neighbors, and you feel like they're tearing things up in the neighborhood. Okay, um, maybe have some different HOA restrictions that don't prevent, you know, short-term rentals. You don't want to prevent the whole thing. You may have some things to ensure that they keep the yard clean, or can't, make a bunch of racket after 11 p.m. or something like that. But outright banning short-term rentals can have the opposite effect for everybody involved in the neighborhood, because it can actually drop your property values, as all the investors just basically say, forget it, I'm done. I don't want any part of this. So uh, that's something to think about if you're living in an area that's contemplating doing this. I know there's an area about an hour and a half away from us that uh, incorporated a bunch of short-term rental restrictions and regulations, and I have not seen them publish their tourism data yet. And I'm not surprised that they're being a little sheepish about it and not wanting to release it. Um, Outer Banks is always up front with their data and their stats, and they said, um, we did not have as good of a year as we did a couple years ago, but we still had a pretty good year, and it's still, better than it has been recently. Um, I have not seen a news release or any stats from the area close by that restricted short-term rentals. So would love to see those stats when they finally do come out. Next tab, Mr. Mike Bolin, real estate investor. He said, it's a myth that real estate agents are intelligent, have your interest in mind, and want to make sure you get a good deal. Okay. It's a fact that real estate agents are widely unintelligent, disregard your interests, and are disincentivized for you to get a good deal. Um, I disagree. I would say, Mr. Mike Bolin, maybe you're not talking to the right agents, but I think most agents would agree with me that I'd rather have a relationship with somebody where they can trust me and rely on me, and I get them the absolute best deal that I can get on their behalf, because I don't just want like a one-off transaction with somebody. I don't want a guy that comes here and buys a house and he's like, yeah, you know, he didn't get me any off the price, and he didn't negotiate. He didn't fight for me. I'm going to call another agent when I go to sell my house and buy another house. That's the opposite of what a lot of agents want. Most agents want to establish a relationship with you and be the person that you call, be the person that you brag to your friends about when you say what a good deal you got on your house. So, Mr. Mike Bolin, I thoroughly disagree with your premise here. Uh, I don't know what agents you're dealing with. Um, Next thing I wanted to talk about, and I did a search for this, but it's this number. Um, what a graph. So this is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage from 1973 to 2023. And it went from 8% in 73 all the way up to 16.6% in 1981, which is, I don't think anybody could handle it if mortgage rates went up that high right now. I mean, it's up to 6.8% for last year, and already, it's like the end of the world for rates to be that high, considering how long they were at 3.6, 3.8, 3.9, 3.1. I mean, we had a nice stretch here of low mortgage rates. But the interesting thing to me was, if you go back and look from 1977, where things kind of crested down a little bit and then went up to there and then there and there and there. What did home prices do from 1977 to 1981 as these interest rates were rising? And then what did they do from 81 to 86 when they kind of fell back down and reached an equilibrium? So I dug into that, and here's what happened. From 1977, it was $46,300 for a house. And then at the end of 1981, it was $70,400 for a house. That is an increase of 52% in that time frame. Everybody said housing is too expensive. We can't afford it. This is a problem. But home prices just kept going up and up and up. Why? Everything was more expensive. Gas was more expensive, food, groceries, everything was more expensive every single year during that time frame, just about. And yet home prices just went bananas. Um, I think everybody that's calling for a crash or saying that, the bottom's going to fall out of the housing market is being a little short-sighted, because if you look at what happened in the late 70s and early 80s, yeah, inflation was bad, but home prices went up quite a bit in that time frame. Um, and if you go back and look from, what did I say, 1981 to 1986, that was 66,800, 66,800 to 95. It went up another 42%. So there was more of a gain on the way up than there was on the way down as far as rates are concerned. Maybe that's good news for us as rates hopefully come down sometime in 2024. Um, but that was interesting to me, that even as everything was costing more and rates continued to rise, home prices kept going with it, and people were buying and selling houses every day. So anyway, that's just some of the things I saw on the internet this week. I will stop sharing my screen here. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, my thoughts on things, and hopefully you found some of this interesting. And whether you did or didn't, I'll try to be back in a week. Thanks. Have a great day.